Hey there, everyone. I'm always trying to do things a little different here at the Weekend Warrior, and that continues this week where I didn't have an interview or guest with the main video edition, but I do have an early interview for one of the movies opening next week on Christmas Day. I feel like my career writing about movies has run parallel to that of filmmaker Craig Brewer, who I recently interviewed for his new movie, Song Sung Blue, starring Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson. Craig first got attention 20 years ago for his movie Hustle and Flow, which won the Audience Award at Sundance before going to the Oscars with a nomination for Terrence Howard and a win for original song. I actually covered the junket for that movie, but I really love that movie because of its inclusion of a recording engineer played by Anthony Anderson. That was followed up by Black Snake Moan, starring Mr. Samuel Jackson and Christina Ricci, which I also did the junket for. Most recently, he directed Netflix's Dolomite Is My Name in 2019 and the 2021 comedy sequel Coming to America, both of those starring Eddie Murphy. With Song Sung Blue, he's back in theaters telling the story of Mike and Claire Sardina, better known as Lightning and Thunder, a Minneapolis couple played by Jackman and Hudson who made a name for themselves with their Neil Diamond Experience, a tribute band to Neil Diamond. The last time I spoke to Craig was for his 2011 remake of Footloose, starring Miles Teller. That was a phoner, so this is the first time I've seen the Memphis-based filmmaker face-to-face via Zoom in almost 2 decades, which is kind of crazy. Anyway, enjoy the conversation where we talk about him seeing the original Greg Coast doc, also called Song Sung Blue, which Craig first saw at Indie Memphis before deciding to make that his next movie. We also talked about him casting Kate Hudson and some of the supporting cast, including rock star King Princess, in a straight acting role as Hugh Jackman's daughter from previous marriage. Hopefully, you've already read my review of the movie, but it's a wonderful and joyous film that's exactly what we need to see right now for the holidays. I hope you'll watch and enjoy this interview with Craig and then go see his movie when it opens on Christmas Day.
I'm not a songwriter. I'm not a sex symbol. I just want to entertain people.
I don't want to be a hairdresser. I want to sing. I want to dance. I want to garden. I want a cat.
I need something big. I need something new.
What do you think?
You don't want to be a Neil Diamond impersonator. You want to be a Neil Diamond interpreter.
I was looking for the right way to say it, and you just came right out and said it.
Tell your mama, girl, we can't stay long.
We should call ourselves Lightning and Thunder.
We got things we gotta catch up on.
So you be lightning and I be thunder.
Yeah. You.
That is not very professional of me, but I've been wanting to do it for like a whole.
Craig, it's great to see you. Last time we spoke was over the phone for Footloose, which was
Wow.
14 years ago. I know. I was like, where our lives go? I mean, at least you made some movies.
I think that was 2011. I think it's even more than that, which is,
Yeah.
I'm turning 54 this Saturday, and it's like more and more I'm going like, oh God, that was like long ago.
Oh wow, you got a lot of movies done in those 20 years. I think when I talked to Footloose, the obvious question was everyone was going, "Oh, why? Why are you making Footloose?" The question for this one is like, were you a Neil Diamond fan before you saw this documentary at Indie Memphis?
Neil Diamond was always that thing that like my dad would play. I mean, Hot August Night was that live album was something that was always on our rotation. But I can't help it. It was that music that I allocated to my parents' generation. And it wasn't really until I started like getting older that some of his songs began to resonate with me. One in particular that kind of caught me off guard, which was the song I Am, I Said, that I felt like I had just listened to the lyrics for the first time in my life, and I began to cry, and it just really moved me. And so I kind of was on a little bit of a Neil Diamond kick when I saw Song Sung Blue,
Okay.
uh, and the documentary. And as much as like you'd think that I don't know if you've seen the documentary, but it actually doesn't have a tremendous amount of music in it. It's like it'll hint at certain moments, but with a few of the songs. But I just found that just the story of it and this incredible love story uh, opened up kind of like this creative part of my brain that I just was saying like, well, if I were to make a music movie um, with Neil Diamond music, how could I do it more with this character, with these characters instead of doing something with Neil Diamond?
Yeah, I have to be honest that when I went to see the movie like a few weeks ago, I actually thought it was a Neil Diamond biopic. I saw the name of the movie.
You're not alone.
I seen a picture of Hugh dressed up, similar to what we see in the
Yeah, I was
background.
talking to my friend Malcolm Lee. He's a Malcolm Lee, the
Of
filmmaker,
course,
and
yeah,
he
yeah.
was like, He was like, I went in, I thought this was a Neil Diamond biopic, and then suddenly Hugh Jackman comes up and I'm like, oh, okay, so this is something completely different. And I like that. I like that people might get a little surprised.
Oh, definitely, definitely was surprised, but it took me like 5 minutes before like, oh, wait a second, maybe he's not playing. But I mean, I literally went in thinking he was another, and then I'd seen the Springsteen movie, which I really liked a lot, so it was kind of was kind of fun. But yeah, so obviously, so you see this doc at Indie Memphis. Was this something you've been developing ever since then? I mean, you hadn't been writing as many of the movies you've been making recently, so is this something you kind of just developing in the background,
Yeah.
or?
It's funny because I think that what it was is that it's the story that a lot of filmmakers, writer directors have, which is like, I'd been writing a lot. It just didn't mean that the movie was getting made. And so you start taking gigs, you're always kind of contributing to somewhat of the writing. But I'd seen it in 2009, and it was always this favorite of mine. I was like, I heard this about the Coen brothers, that they love to collect movies that like no one's really seen, or movies that don't really have distribution, and they're just like smaller, more obscure movies that have gone to small film festivals. And I was like that. I'm a big like not only physical media person, but like I have like bootlegs of things that don't exist, from drive-in movies like Gator Bait to like movies that are like you know uh this movie had all of Johnny Cash do the soundtrack, but then they stopped distributing it. Like I
Oh
love
wow.
finding those little things, right? And Song Sung Blue is one of those. I mean, it wasn't ever distributed anywhere, so you would call up the filmmaker Greg Coes, and he would burn you a DVD, and then he'd mail it to you after you sent him some money. And so I would just show people this DVD over the years, and always just dream like, man, this is a movie. Like I could see that this feels like hustle and flow in a way. I just don't know if anybody's going to let me do it. If they're not letting me do even these scripts that I'm writing right now that feel like a little bit more commercially minded, no one's going to take this movie about like these two broke, middle American working class, couple, and that want to make a Neil Diamond tribute band and then have to deal with tragedy after tragedy, and it's not like it's a four quadrant summer blockbuster in a lot of studios' minds. But I actually felt that they would be wrong. I was like, no, I actually think this is an inspiring movie. This is something that really could be like a version of Rocky, but just with music. Um, and it really wasn't until after Dolomite Is My Name that I had just turned the age that my father was when he died of a heart attack at the age of 49,
Oh wow.
very unexpectedly. And I felt like, okay, Craig, you know how hard it is to get these movies made, but I think that you've really just got to like do what you did with Hustle and Flow, and you've just got to commit to making this movie. And I went in to talk to the producers of Dolomite Is My Name, John Davis and John Fox. When they say, what are we doing? I said, well, I don't know if you guys are going to do this with me, but this is my next movie. And they fell in love with it. They go, it's going to be hard. And they were right. Every single studio said no. I mean, like every place said no, except Focus and Universal. They got it. They were like, no, we think we know what you're doing here. And then once Hugh saw the documentary, he called me up and he said, I know you haven't written the script, but I love that you want to make this movie, and I'm in. And so I went off to write.
Like I said, Hugh was. I mean, he's kind of obvious because he's great. He's singer, dancer, entertaining, charming. Kate Hudson is kind of not expected. I think a lot of people see this movie. I mean, even when I first saw her on screen, like I don't think I knew she was in the movie. I kind of like, oh, it took me a while to realize it was her. What made you think of her? What kind of like how did you come on board?
Well, I really want to be clear with this because I think that it's important for a lot of people to know how this works in Hollywood. But once Hugh was in place and the script was a go,
Mm.
you then start getting all these lists from the studios and producers and casting directors. They're well-meaning. It's just like, here's like 10 actresses that mean something right now in Hollywood. Kate wasn't on the list.
Oh wow. Okay.
Kate probably wasn't on a list of 20. And I've known Kate for a while, and I've been wanting to make a movie with Kate for a long while. But it really took Hugh Jackman to call me up, and he was watching her in this interview on CBS Sunday Morning, and she was talking about how she was in a different place in her life where her son was going off to college, and she wanted to get into music. It's always been a passion of hers, and she's going to start writing music, and she's going to take a
Oh.
break from acting, and she's going to go out on the road. And I was just like, there she is. You know, she was kind of crying because it's like her little boy. And I remember her son. Like, I was like, wait a minute, the last time I saw Kate, I think that kid was like a toddler. And so then the very thing that was happening with me, where it's like, well, why aren't we considering Kate Hudson?
Mm,
Like, I know she may not be like the actress of the moment, but that's not really what the kind of story we're telling. We're kind of telling a story about a woman that you go, oh yeah, I remember her 20 years ago, but does she have the goods right now? And that's what the character's going through. And so I think that it's magic that we didn't read Kate. We didn't do any of that. Like Hugh and I called up Kate and we kind of the three of us made a decision that we're casting her. I mean, we didn't even really consult the studio on this. We just kind of did it. And I think she's just marvelous in it because of the very thing that happened to you. You're like, oh, Kate Hudson, and it's admittedly there's a question mark. Oh, that's interesting.
mm.
And then what happens is that she delivers this incredibly touching performance, and she really moves you. And I'm so happy that people are recognizing her talent. But it also took me to be reminded about Kate Hudson.
What about casting some of like the kids and then casting around her? I know King Prince's his dad because I worked with him in the '90s in the studios. He's a
Right.
recording engineer, so we were like working together like for years.
You're way ahead
Yeah.
of me because
Yeah.
what
Wow.
happened to me was I am really happy to say that the three kids in my movie all auditioned. They really like did great readings, put themselves on tape multiple times, and totally won it through the merit of their talent and commitment. But I cast King Princess, and her picture was up on my office wall, and Amy Vincent, my director of photography, came in and said, why do you have King Princess on your wall? Are we using some of her music? And I go, what are you talking about?
Mm,
She goes, that's King Princess. And I
sure.
go, oh, I know. I feel like I'm discovering this new young actress. You know, she did this great audition. And she goes like, no, Craig, she's like a rock star. She's like rock royalty. She's like, she goes on tour and everything. Do you know her on Spotify? And then I brought her, I had no idea.
Mm.
She just did a fantastic read and a fantastic audition. So I'm now caught up on King Princess. But I'll tell you, Ella Anderson, I cast her in the movie because she just did a fantastic audition. I'm on set. I'm now filming with Ella, and my 17-year-old daughter comes with her boyfriend and sits in front of the monitor. And then when Ella comes onto the monitor, they just both exploded. They were like, "Oh my God, Henry Danger!"
Oh, okay.
And I was like,
I was
and I was
familiar
like,
with
what?
her.
And they're
Yeah.
like, no, we've grown up watching this girl. This
Oh
is,
wow.
and I was like, I had no idea. They're like, Dad, she's got like 3.5 million followers on Instagram. I was like, are you kidding me? So it's really great that like this younger cast, has almost like just as much of a history as Kate Hudson did. It's like, but now they're in a different place, and they're here because they're just amazing.
And the kids are great roles too. It's not like these kids are just there. Oh, the kids. It's like they all have story arcs, which is like something which we don't really see.
I would agree. I would agree.
Let's talk about Neil Diamond himself. I mean, how? I mean, obviously he didn't have to be involved except for maybe giving the rights, performance rights to the music. I mean, did you want to have him involved at all? Did you want to have like play him the movie or show him the script or anything, or just
No,
kind of?
because we were in a really great situation with Katie, his wife, who was very helpful with the movie as well. That Neil Diamond was very much aware of lightning and thunder. There's this fantastic story that I haven't told a bunch, but when Greg Coase made the documentary and it was going to play at a film festival, the executors of Neil Diamond's publishing sent a cease and desist letter,
Oh wow.
and they were saying you can't play this documentary. Eddie Vedder heard about that and then called up Neil Diamond,
Oh wow. Okay.
said, "You need to see this documentary, and I really think that you're going to see why your music needs to be used in this." And Neil saw it and was so moved by it, and gave them permission to use his music. It turns out that John Davis, my producer on this movie, and Dolomite is my name. His mother is good friends with Katie Diamond, his
Mm.
Neil's wife. So when we reached out to them, they were really excited about the notion of like having a movie packed with Neil Diamond songs, but it's about this story that they loved. And the next daunting experience with it was the fact that they opened up all the songs to us. They said, "Well, what do you want? You can have whatever you need," and they gave us this fantastic deal. And then it was up to me to pick and choose.
I've been asking directors this recently, and you'll be a good person to ask this. Someone hands you a blank check right now. You can make any movie you want. Doesn't have to be commercial success. Doesn't have to make about some money back. Is there something you've been either sitting on a long time, or is there a genre maybe that you want to make with that blank check? What would you do?
Yeah. And it's kind of like a perfect thing to say, especially today. We lost a really great guitar player yesterday. His name's Steve Cropper.
I heard, yeah.
He's one quarter of Booker T and the MGs. I think that Stax Records is just one of the most incredible stories in music history, especially after Otis Redding was killed in the plane crash. You know, it's a movie. It's a label that was incredibly diverse, half white, half black, in Memphis, Tennessee. The studio was built out of an abandoned movie theater. The record store was where the concession stand was. These young writers, David Porter and Isaac Hayes, were bagging groceries across the street.
Wow.
You know, but after Otis died, you had this like 4 month period, 5 month period from when Otis Redding died to when the sanitation strike happened in Memphis, Tennessee, to when Dr. King came in town was assassinated. And I have always wanted to tell that story of Memphis during that time, and that would be my dream project.
Great. Well, I can't think of a better director to make that movie. I could give you a blank check, but it's only because I have no money in my bank account. So it'd have to remain like, well, listen, Craig, it's great to actually see you, talk to you again.
Great talking to you too.
I'll make sure it's not 14 years next time.
There you go.
So,
There you
great.
go. Well, hopefully I'll make another movie by then.
Absolutely, you will. You will. I'm sure you will. Great. Thanks, man.
Good talking to you.
Sweet Caroline. The good times never seem so good. Oh, boy.
Robert, how you doing?
How am I doing? Huge.
I just disappear in the music.
You two always know what to do.
I can't thank Neil, because every thank you I got belongs to you, doll. You're my August night, my September morn, you're my crackling Rosie.
Yeah, lightning and thunder.